Hello, Australia.
Cool,
Welcome to
very nice.
A&R News. I'm Ryan Jackson-Saw, and this is the Raw Report. On the 21st of October, Coles, Woolworths, and Aldi have announced that they are going to bring in mandatory jabs for their workers, and this will be affecting over 300,000 employees. They are the biggest collection of group employees in the nation. If they don't accept the vaccine, then they will find themselves unemployed. And I'm talking with someone right now from Woolworths, Brent Caballo. How you doing, Brent?
I'm really good. How are you?
No, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. But you are one of the people who decided to not take the jab, and you're being told that if you don't, then you'll be losing your employment.
Yeah. So, in terms of things, just for legality's sake, I'm a worker willing and able to work as always. And I haven't actually had a specific stance with Woolworths as of yet, if I will or will not. But yes, we've been told 2 days ago, it broke the news. Obviously, the media broke it, but within our store managers and things of that nature as well, we've been told that in New South Wales, I think we've got to the 31st of January to have the first injection of any particular vaccine to continue employment. I do have fact sheets somewhere, but yes, from what I understand is that most likely you'll be stood down or not meet some.
So it's basically under the guise of safety, they're calling it, to take a experimental vaccine that hasn't yet passed its stage 3 clinical trials.
Yes. Safety, of course, yes. Funnily enough, not to get too much on the personal rant, but many people that I know that are working within the organization have had days off from being sick of having the vaccine, either the day of and days post. We're facing that as a sort of a working conglomerate. So at this particular point in time, on a personal basis, I'm still sort of making the decision.
Yeah. So basically,
yes.
as it would be in a fair and balanced program, you would expect that you'd be able to make that decision and not lose your employment. But the situation is it's either employment or vaccine. So how does that make you feel? Do you feel under pressure?
I think it comes down to two things. I sort of liken it to that they want to make, they seem to say that they want to let you make an informed decision. But I would liken it to that if you have got a soccer ball and you're going to kick it in between two posts for $1 million, if no one was watching, you're going to make the kick. There's 100,000 people watching, cheering, or even booing you. Man, like you can somehow get it wrong. And when it comes down to a pressure of knowing, can you put food on the table? Can you continue studying and the way of life that you've been carrying on so far, especially seeing that we've worked through the worst, we're being told we've already been through the worst, we're coming out the other side. So under that pressure and gaze, yes, I'll definitely say that, it's very hard to make a conscious and clear decision whether I could consent or not. And under that pressure and duress of job loss and things of that nature, I would probably say that the headspace for a decision is not there. I would say the only positive thing that Woolworths has done has given quite a large time frame. I definitely take my hat off to them for that. And they haven't done it, 20th of December prior to Christmas. They've done it, post Christmas and well into the month of January. So I think I take it as a positive note in that way. And I definitely take my hat off to the CEO for giving it, above a 3-month sort of window where even teachers and nurses and things of that nature, and in Victoria and states of other things, they're much smaller window. But yeah,
it could be argued that they were simply looking after their profits for the Christmas holiday period. but we'd like to think the
I
best of
agree.
them, of course. Yes, I haven't.
I
What
agree. I would agree.
if you lose this job though, what kind of pressure does that put you under? Would you find that your rentals or your housing would come under risk? Do you have family that you're looking after that are
Oh,
relying on you?
everything. Feces hits the fan. um, yeah, life gets disrupted. There's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no shape. No way around of saying that. There's no pleasant way of saying that life definitely gets disrupted. Not only does it increase anxiety and sleeplessness and things of that nature leading up to those events, because all of a sudden, I'm lucky within myself that that I sort of I'm trying my best to put other bits and skills together and things of that nature, and work on other things, and hopefully converse with the company, and maybe under religious beliefs I can sort of, maybe those things come into my favor, but I can definitely sort of, my heart goes out to those who are working 40 hours a week. Luckily I don't have children, so I'm very blessed in that sense. Yeah, but definitely see a huge amount of distress coming about it for other team members, and I I know from a friend-to-friend basis, speaking to those who do Woolworths, Coles, and Aldi for a living, that a lot of them have already gotten the jab under pressure, in the sense that they have said to me as a friend, I've gotten it, I regret it, I'm sorry, and yeah, been very upset by it already.
Well, it's a shame that, as you said, there's a lot of extra pressure where people might not be able to make those clear choices because they're so reliant on the work that puts food on the table for them, that they might make a mistake and have an adverse effect that affects them the rest of their life, or they don't even make it. We're seeing quite a large number of cases of these across the country right now. Haven't spoken to a lot of medical staff myself. They're just not reporting a lot of these adverse effects because they're being told not to, and that puts people in a hell of a position. It's either your employment or you take a huge risk, and maybe people aren't aware of how big these risks are, but we don't want them to find out the wrong way either.
Yeah, my body is my temple. Yes. But yeah, when someone has an adverse reaction, I've got not much to say. The funniest, to not be too off topic there, but it comes down to the health advice. That the health advice is to get a vaccination, and in no way, shape, or form is it to reduce or quit smoking, improve sleep, get the number one antibacterial vitamin there is out there. There's vitamin D from the sun. You put germs in a petri dish, put it in the sun. It's just one of those things. You see animals when they're sick. Looking at the animal kingdom, we are an animal. We've just got to,
all the studies coming out are saying that isolation lowers your immunity, lack of sunlight lowers your immunity. Yes. And what's the first two things that the government's done to the general population is isolate us and keep us out of the sun.
Yeah.
It's a conflicting message with true good health. So thank you for raising that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it sure is. So I think that's probably the only leg on science that I could stand on. So I don't think there is an arguable point. Of course, there will be someone maybe saying, "Oh, well, sun causes melanoma." Well, I'm not telling you to go lay in the sun for 6 hours a day for how long, but I'm definitely telling you that 15 minutes a day definitely does wonders for mental health. And the mind is unbelievably powerful. And as we were saying before, when you're under pressure, the mind can't make decisions. You see, for instance, when people may question this to some degree, but why is a world champion in any form of sport at all that have been doing the sport for 20 years of their life, multiple hours per day, and they are allowed to come out and say, I had a bad week, my mind is full, my mind isn't clear, and I had a very bad performance and I let the team down. and that is acceptable on a world championship level. But a prepared athlete too, a professional athlete, but a person who is deemed a minimum wage worker, which I am, can't use the excuse, my mind isn't clear, or my mind is full and I can't make a clear decision, and that for some odd reason is not deemed, a level of excuse.
Well, credit to the CEO of Woolworths as well, as he did acknowledge religious exemptions. And so perhaps people's
I haven't
through a choice of spirituality could argue that taking this vaccine would be against their religion. And that could be very helpful for a lot of people in Woolworths making their decisions in the end of the day.
Oh, well. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, funnily enough, I was baptized. My father is a Christian. My mother, deems herself to be a Buddhist. I would call myself a Christian influenced Taoist. And, I think the number one thing in Taoism is that nothing unnatural enters the body. All the Western medicine, when you really look at it, is the stuff that works is really based off Eastern medicine, which come about many, many, many years before. And that, the Eastern side of the world has sort of gone into this disarray, have gotten away from where they once were.
What do you think about the divisions that this vaccine program is causing in the country?
Yeah, I think we're sort of semi-bred in a way coming up, especially being on the eastern side of Australia, Newcastle, Sydney, etc., like that, very much NRL towns. And we've sort of had this culture of, I'm a Newcastle Knights guy. I don't like anyone from Cronulla. And you sort of just have a disdain for them and a dislike for them, clearly just off these choices. And we sort of have this nature of doing that. And I think that subculture that exists in a way is very much permeated this issue that has happening in Australia today. And we sort of project our insecurities and we project these things and we see them as a division rather than seeing ourselves as human beings that are all suffering in this big melting pot together. Because let's face it, this is quite an issue. Regardless or not pro or anti or in the middle or whatever you deem to be, I don't label myself at all either thing. I label myself pro-life. Doesn't matter what you do. Your decision is on your own. It's quite boggling that you could go into a jiu-jitsu gym and you could roll around together. You could go to kickboxing and bleed, in football and bleed, and you could have HIV or AIDS and these things of this nature, but yet this doesn't get spoken about. So there is definitely a division that is driven. It's definitely driven for the specific nature of division by the media, unfortunately. But that sells. And as I was saying before, that comes back to the consumer culture that we're all sort of a part of. I think we could possibly sort of come together and sort of just realize, hey, we're human beings. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, Christian, or whatever, color or race we are. We're all under the same sun. It's as simple as that. We're all under the same sun.
Yeah, if we're going to turn anything into a sport rather than citizen versus citizen, I think that maybe we should, it should be the Australian citizens unified as one nation versus anyone who seeks to impose their will on our freedoms and our sovereignty and tell us that you can't leave your home, you must be tracked everywhere you go, you must follow bad health advice. I think that maybe we could take a bit of a fight to them now, because it's been 2 years and I think people are kind of over this whole process that's happening, especially now it's come to the point where it's starting to take our jobs.
Yeah, agreed for sure. I think I think that if we just put away our minor differences, very, 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 very minor differences, and just realize that we all suffer the same way. We all bleed the same blood,
Mm.
and we just all suffer the same way. There's no other way about it. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just in projecting of insecurities. Unfortunately, we've gotten away from the Christian values that used to very much like govern Australia in just being a good human being, looking after the neighbor. It doesn't even matter whether you went to church on a Sunday or whatever else. It's just that when migrants come to Australia, post-war era, we're talking 1940s and 1950s, all these people come together as one because they were all coming together for a purpose, and that was freedom. That really was escaping the peril and threat. And now we're talking 70 odd years later, and we're facing something, but because we've got a dopamine fix that lives in our pocket all day, and that can feed our fear or feed our insecurities, and then lets us also project our insecurities, that this becomes harder to break that level of division, because we're definitely not walking down the street and just going, oh, wow, we're getting Italian. Those people come from Italy, and, come and gone are the days of, getting fish and chips cooked by, for lack of a better term, what we would call them wogs, and things of that nature. Or getting, cafe and things of that nature. I think we've gotten away from that, and that's caused a lot of division. And unfortunately, when things like this happen between the Woolworths group, not only does it cause division on the whole societal level, but it causes division in a person-to-person basis, as in the friends that you used to have at work. Now you've got something that is as serious as people would have taken it in 1999, being Knights versus the grand final in 1999 of, excuse me if I'm wrong, but it was Knights versus Sharks or something or other. So
yeah, that's right. Well, in sport, people get injured, they get hurt, but we're seeing people actually getting permanently hurt. So this isn't a fun game that we're playing right now. Maybe it's time we play a different game.
No, that's what I mean. I know for some odd reason we're treating it as if you are more or less righteous, you're more or lesser of a human being, and you're more or lesser of something or other. It shouldn't really be like that. But I think, I think really and truly this sort of just represents a general breakdown in society that has been sort of coming for many years. But I think, overall, number one thing would just be to lay down our shields and realize that we're human beings, and whether you get the vaccine or whether you don't, we still eat, and we still drink the same water, we still do all the same things.
That's right.
We have a great medical system in Australia, and we've got all the basis, and we've got all the details. But I think we've sort of given away the power of the body, in the sense that we think that we need something else externally from us to make sure that we're okay internally, when unfortunately everything is already here for us. We're living in incredibly complex.
You've just hit the nail on the head. It's our bodies, and if we give away the rights of our bodies, that is far too far. We can't give the state power of our bodies. What are we thinking? That's crazy. It's time to pull that back.
It is,
yeah. That's how you know they have way too much power.
It's crazy. It's crazy. People won't eat beetroot on a burger. Like, they'll go, no, you go, man, eat a beetroot burger. Like, nah, man, no way. I'm not eating damn beetroot on a burger. That's horrible. But no, but you got to take this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, bro. But you want to eat beetroot.
You got to eat the beetroot. You got to get the beetroot injected. Yeah.
You got to get the beetroot injected. I'm like, no way, man. Beetroot buggers me up. So, oh man, like, no, I think we need to bring a bit of light and a bit of humor to it, and just knock down all the seriousness, man. The psychology that is hidden in the media. I don't think the average individual realizes that the news that was around of 30 years ago, like, for instance, just to throw it back for people, if you've got a VHS, a video recorded video that you recorded a TV program, say Seinfeld in 1998 or anything of that nature, if you put that on and you look at those ads that were on, they were so mellow, so tame, actually uplifting. They were actually uplifting. They had music and they were uplifting. They targeted the positive senses.
Yeah.
Now all media targets fear, and because and the psychology that is driven by that, it can't be good for the human psyche anyway.
It's the appeal to the base part of the brain, the fight and the flights and the sexual attraction and violence and fear. It's just pumping constantly that those hormones of fear through that system, and it becomes addictive because you think that if I'm constantly under threat, then I have to be constantly alert, and so I'm going to remember everything that they're telling me right now. And sometimes it's as subtle as you might be watching 7 News and you'll hear a sound playing in the background of the news. And it's like a dull sort of, just a scary sound, just giving you a cue to be afraid.
And it is plain as day that, the worst news is late at night because your brain has gone from, beta to alpha waves and things of that nature, and it enters your subconscious more easily. Falling asleep with the telly on and vegging out is become a way of life, and unfortunately it doesn't really do anything. And I think all this definitely coincides with the true pandemic going on in the world at the moment. I think that is the disease of the mind.
Well, we've gone from life be in it to life don't be in it. And I think it needs to come full circle again.
Absolutely. I just wanted to basically put it out there and just say that, at the bottom of it all, I'm just very appreciative that we're living in a country that we've got tap water running and hot water, and I'm actually sort of sleeping in a bed with a blanket, and my girlfriend and I share the same space. I think that if we come back to the base levels of appreciation on the most minute level and just realizing, like, man, I'm talking right now. Like, isn't that phenomenal? Like, isn't that crazy that I'm healthy enough and I'm talking? Like, let's just get back to the basic things and enjoy the birds and the bees and just taking it back to the basics and just realizing that there is absolutely nothing wrong with hugging someone. Not to get off tangent, sorry, really quickly, but when you hug someone and you're in positive notions, your muscles test stronger. You test stronger. Everyone knows this. When you're feeling good and you're feeling happy and you're hugging and you're loving and you're kissing and all these things of this nature and listening to good music, when you lift up something and you go to work, the day goes faster, you pick up weights, you end up stronger, you think better, you get better exam results, all these things of this nature. So let's come back and bring it back to love, and hopefully talks like this and bringing awareness like that can bring a positive change, and hopefully the CEO of Woolworths and Coles and things like that can have a more maybe change their approach to some degree and be more welcoming to those who want to have a more of a choice on what goes into their body, considering we've made it this far already. So thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brent,
for bringing me on, and
it's been a pleasure.
Great. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks.